Alright, so I know I had mentioned that the last video I had uploaded to the channel was going to be the last video of the year. But as the old saying goes, man makes plans and God laughs. And it looks like I'm going to be having to go back on my previous statement. So, to compensate for that, today we are going to be going over a relatively short Kiwi Farms thread entitled Things That Bother Ethan Community Driven List. So, let's get into this. Angry Pepsi. Name one and only one thing that bothers Ethan. I'll update the original post as we go on. You can provide as many submissions as you like, just no double posting or naming more than one in a single post. The idea is that we build this list together for fun. Here's my submission, his height. Okay, so let's get into this list. Things that bother Ethan Ralph. Ethan's height, his gun, Nora, transformative dancing emoticons, a clean asshole, responsibility, running the kill stream, getting cucked by imaginary Japanese children, his fans, sobriety, Kiwi Farms, Josh's penis, non-whites, Hispanic female police officers trying to arrest him, having to take his mother to dialysis, taking responsibility, callers, and the chant, questions about Cleo the cat, Flamingo, women who reject his advances, F-slur, looking down while in the shower, a look stabbing on him, corn, Faith Vickers, the size of his own penis, non-disposable plates and cutlery, having to leave the gun shack to acquire more Maker's Mark, the smell of a freshly washed thumb, when it's not even hot outside, dating women in his own age range, wiping his ass, criticism of any kind, having to use a rag on a stick to wash himself, secured garbage containers that may contain hamburgers, underwear, and the thought of someone pantsing him, unflavored meth. Meth has flavors? I never knew that. Having to put lotion on his grizzled flesh, that his penis is smaller than his thumb, Arby's, actually being friends with Gator, streets with slight inclines, Xander, aka Dispatch, Jim, aka Mr. Medicare, being Ethan Ralph, being asked for his ID at a bar and or not having Maker's Mark, exercising, wearing underwear, Xander, Ralph's son, snakes, mentioning the women he slept with in Miami, college tuition bills, debt collectors, his reflection, freedom of speech and capitalism, the Wall Street Journal, free speech, wondering why a 14-year-old girl he publicly masturbated to won't return his calls. Should probably add zoom and plate gain to that list. Maybe PPP as well. No, scratch that. Definitely PPP. So let's see. We should add a zoom and plate gain, PPP. Who else? Jarbo? Yeah, I think we should add Jarbo as well. Anyway, let's continue. Chewbacca says his gun. Kenobi says Nora. Phobingus says transformative dancing emoticons. Kaiser Aurora says a clean asshole. Takayuki Yagami. Hope I got that right. His height is clearly a sore spot. I have friends that I can tangibly explain this shit to because they're FGC and know the DSP lore. The first thing one of them said when I showed a pic of him was, quote, "Oh, that's definitely a manlet. As for something original for the OP responsibility." Mr. Manchester says, well, he's not fond of getting up early that much, is clear. I guess running the kill stream is probably his biggest pet peeve now. The Melted One says getting cooked by cartoon Japanese children. Vetty, the local moderator, big boy, he says his fans. Spectre says sobriety. Angel Dust says Kiwi Farm seems to bother him. Scrappy Lobster Chew says, does Josh's penis count? I guess that's kinda a love-hate relationship. David Spadem says non-whites. Delicious Diversity says Hispanic female police officers trying to arrest him. Chewbacca again says having to take his mother to dialysis. Vancouver Terry Boella says taking responsibility for anything really. Mr. Manchester again says, oh, I got one callers in the chat. Bocce Goloop says, questions about Cleo the cat. Delicious Diversity again says, another one has problems with social cues. Bocce Goloop again says, women who reject his advances. F-Sir says he hates me so much because I didn't clip him talking about Josh's penis again, that he talked to PvP on Warski's stream. Oh, F-Slur's an actual fucking person. I thought it was just, the F-Slur in general. I had no idea F-Slur was an actual person. Anyway, let's continue. Mr. Manchester again says, looking down while in the shower. Quoterthon says, A-Log's dabbing on him. Dick Molerston. He's actually, I think, a Dick Masterson parody account on Twitter. Very funny guy. He replied with simply a corn emoji. Vetty says faith. Bob Barker says, he replied to Scrappy here. Bob Barker says the size of his own penis. David Spadum says non-disposable plates and cutlery. Randy here says having to leave the gun shed to acquire more Maker's Mark. Zoidberg says the smell of a freshly washed thumb. Chewbacca again says when it's not even hot outside. Lurkism says dating women in his own age range. High T says taking his mom to dialysis. Edit missed that. Chewbacca already got it. Don't worry about it, buddy. Shiggy Dixter says wiping his ass because he can't reach it, and also because he finds the aroma too intoxicating to wipe anyway. Oof. Buffalo Chicken Sandwich says criticism of any kind. Chewbacca says having to use a rag on a stick to wash himself. Big Snood says secured garbage containers that may contain hamburgers. Mr. Manchester again says I contest this. He loves doing that. Always responding to Chewbacca. Sriracha says Ralph hates underwear. He lives in constant fear of people pulling his pants down. I mean, not for nothing. If I was Ralph, I would rather someone pull my pants down while I was wearing underwear versus not wearing underwear. But then again, what will I know anyway? Big Snooze says unflavored meth. Again, I had no idea meth had any flavors. Learn something new every day. Chewbacca says having to put lotion on his grizzled flesh. I'm not 100% sure on that. It sounds like something Ralph would find enjoyable. Again, what would I know? Shiggy Digster says that his penis is smaller than his thumb. I think, to be fair, any man would be pretty upset about that. Anyway, Popper Whitening says Arby's. Mr. Manchester says, God damn it, he likes that too. Post real shit that he doesn't like actually being friends with Gator. I'm surprised no one up until Mr. Manchester here has mentioned that. Popper replies to Mr. Manchester a few years ago. He hated any mention of Arby's. Alright, because of the fucking rape thing. Anyway, Brucey Boy says streets with slight inclines. Buffalo Chicken Sandwich says Xander. Mr. Manchester, I stand corrected. Ralph hates being corrected though, so we've reached a nice compromise. Also, Jim, I think he hates Jim now. Anyway, Agri Pepsi says Xander is dispatch, right? Buffalo Chicken Sandwich replies to Agri Pepsi, and he says, and his soon-to-be son. I wonder if Fate will actually call, the demon baby Xander. Personally, if I was Faith, I would fucking call the kid, Andy Worski or Dick Masterson. Maybe even Shannon Gaines. But I'm not Faith, so anyway. Awilix says being Ethan Ralph. Trigger Me Elmo says being asked for ID at a bar and or not having Maker's Mark. David says exercising. Fuzz Mushroom says wearing underwear. Effler says I would scratch Flamenco off there. Flem will be calling into Ralph's show mentioning I Hypocrite will be on. Basically did a mini ad for Ralph by mentioning the guest first 10 minutes. He said he doesn't care that Ralph is dating a pedo. He liked being able to use Ralph to call in and talk the guests. Clearly still Gunk Guard and benefit is clear. He gets to talk to people he couldn't on his own. Vetty says Ralph's Xander's son, and he replies to Efsler. This is a list of things Ralph hates, and he does not like Flamenco. What Flamenco thinks about Ralph for his show doesn't matter. True. Mr. Manchester replies to David, says he ran, and the ran is crossed out, did 2 miles on the treadmill, sir. Nobody ever mentions Richmond's finest either because Ralph loves them too. He said so himself. Ralph hates snakes. Old Slag says, mentioning the women he slept with in Miami. Angry Pepsi says, he replies to Efsler. I think he needs to say, I get what you're saying about Flamenco's public positions, but we're talking about the actual interpersonal relationship. Ralph would get frustrated almost every night with Flamenco's autism. Can't say I blame the man. Ooh, David Spademan says, college tuition bills. Angry Pepsi replies to David and says debt collectors as well. Mariposta, I'm not even going to bother pronouncing the last one. His reflection. Melty TW says, replies to Old Slag, quote unquote, women, Ralph hates freedom of speech and capitalism. Old Slag replies to Melty TW and says mine was specifically when Ralph was still with Nora and Tardsky brought up the pussy Ralph was sleeping with in Miami. He got super pissed and defensive. Angry Pepsi, The Wall Street Journal. David says free speech. Edit, damn it, Melty, I didn't see your freedom of speech part above. Lol, I just read the women part, lol. Soy King says, wondering why a 14-year-old girl he publicly masturbated to won't return his calls. I am that is says 3 presenters. Agri says people not knowing who he is. Mr. Manchester says, that reminds me, having ice dumped on him, and he had to call Redacted for emotional support and everything. Vetty says TTS. Big Snoot says being sodomized as a child by his father, Ronald. Oof. Guess Tonkasaw wasn't the only one that had to bite the pillow when he was a child. Soy King says a log stabbing on his gourmet meals. Angry Pepsi says fear of becoming just like his father. Melty replies to David Spademan, it's fine, Ralph hates freedom of speech so much it bears repeating. He replies to Big Snoot and says being anally Ralph a male by his father makes him a faggot though, which means he enjoys it. Almost 2 a.m. where I'm at, and I can forget about sleeping now. Mr. Manchester says, replies to Angry Pepsi, that might be a life goal at this point. Oof. He replies to Soy King, paper plates and or chicken salad would be a fair specification. And that is where we are going to end this very short vid. Actually, how long have I been going for? 14 minutes? They're relatively short. Anyway, be seeing you